If you are thinking about going caffeine free or you're just playing with the idea of substituting your coffee for something else, then this video is for you. I'm hoping that I can give you a little motivation because I know when you're starting to kick a caffeine addiction, the first question is like, is it even worth it? I mean, I love it. It tastes good. It does add some joy to my life. Like, is it even worth it to quit coffee? And my answer is yes. I think it's absolutely worth it. Kind of sucks in the beginning, but there are so many benefits to gain from ditching caffeine and swapping it out with something either less caffeinated than your usual cup of coffee or just something completely decaf. So if you are a self-proclaimed caffeine addict, I was in your shoes. I know exactly what that feels like. I would reach for multiple cups of coffee a day. If I was stressed, if I was happy, if I was sad, if I was bored, I would go and get coffee. It just felt like my entire life revolved around coffee, especially when I was in grad school. Like, if you were in grad school, then you know what it's like. You're stressed out of your mind and coffee feels like the only moment of relief, or so you think it's relief. So now that I've lived 6 months without relying on coffee or caffeine, I'm going to go through some of the benefits that I've seen in my life that have really made it worth it to me and why I'm going to continue to live this way. And maybe some motivation for you too if you're kind of on the fence of whether you want to keep coffee in your life or not. So the first one is that I've been able to reclaim my morning. I was literally that coffee zombie that would roll out of bed and go straight to the iced coffee in the fridge and chug it down. Like, either that or I would immediately get up, drive to go get coffee, brew some coffee. I mean, it was the first thing on my mind. Some mornings, it was the only reason I got out of bed. And I found that sometimes if I didn't have the right cup of coffee, or like if I tried a new type of coffee and it made my stomach hurt, it just kind of like upended my entire day. Like, yes, I got the boost of energy, but I also just felt very tied to this cup of coffee. Like, I felt like I couldn't even start living until I had this. And after a while, that just started to bother me because here I am, relatively young, relatively healthy, and yet 30 seconds after waking up, the only thing that I'm thinking about is having a cup of coffee. It got to the point where I was just kind of annoyed by that fact. And I also went on vacation once and we were more in a kind of remote area. We were on an island, so I didn't have my usual iced coffee and all the fixings available to me. And I just remember that those mornings sucked. And I was on vacation. Like, the whole point of it was to enjoy and recharge and have a great time. But I was just so cranky every morning because I didn't have the right cup of coffee, or I felt like the coffee that I had was too watered down, and so I felt lethargic and tired all day. I felt like I couldn't even go anywhere without first thinking about whether there was coffee there, whether there was the right kind of coffee there, and what I was going to do if there wasn't. And ever since ditching it, my mornings are exactly what I want them to be. So I wake up and I don't think about coffee. I wake up and I have some water, and then I decide if I want to go on a walk, or if I want to journal, or if I need to get ready to go to work because I woke up a little late. It just feels so nice to wake up and not go straight to drinking coffee. Sometimes very sweetened coffee, sometimes coffee that was filled with a lot of like junk from the creamers I used and stuff. I wake up and I decide what the day is going to look like. And it doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter if there's coffee available. I can still wake up and have a good morning. The second benefit is probably my favorite, and that is there's no more crashing for me. I used to be the type of person that was hyped up on caffeine all day long, and then as soon as I got off work, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, I would absolutely crash. Like, find me on the couch taking a nap, unable to do anything after work because I was so tired. Now that I've been off coffee, I don't have that. My energy is super steady. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hyped up completely the way I used to be. And that was part of the reason I was a little bit scared to leave caffeine, because I felt like I got such a great energy boost from it. Like, how was I going to be productive without it? When you ditch caffeine, you don't feel like that anymore. But you quickly realize that you're not supposed to feel like that every day, all day. You're not supposed to feel like you're completely on edge all the time. And what's even cooler is that you don't need to feel that way to get things done and to still be productive. In fact, I would argue that having this steady source of energy makes me even more productive all day because I don't crash. What is amazing to me is that by the time I get off work and it's like 5:30, I have the same amount of energy as I did at 9 in the morning. I could do more things. I'm more productive. I'm finally able to do things for myself. I can go on a walk. I can work on my projects. I can clean if I have to clean. I can go see a friend. I have energy right up until it's kind of time to go to bed. Like once I start doing my bedtime routine, that's when I start to feel sleepy. But before that, I have energy to do it. I mean, sometimes I feel lazy. That's different. But I can get myself to do the things I need to do because I physically am able to. And I'm not gonna lie, when you've drank coffee for most of your life like I have, it's hard to get used to the fact that you don't need to feel so on edge and so hyped up to get anything done. You kind of have to readjust yourself and like remind yourself that you do have energy, it's just steady, and that you can get stuff done without feeling like this incredible urgency that's just hovering over you. So I don't miss crashing at 5 o'clock, and that is one of the main reasons I won't go back to caffeine. This next one is kind of related, which is that I've had a lot less anxiety. So I'm someone who has dealt with a lot of mental health issues in the past, and now that I'm off coffee, it's safe to say that the caffeine was really making it worse. My anxiety is not completely gone, but those are other issues that I'm working on, and we can talk about that later. But I have noticed a dramatic decrease in the amount of anxiety that I feel throughout the day and the amount of like mini panic attacks that I would have at night and in the morning. Towards the end of my caffeine use, when it was at its highest, I was waking up stressed. Like I was waking up with my heart beating fast. I would have heart palpitations throughout the week, just little fluttering, and my body was stressed. And if you take that and you combined it with like all of these intrusive thoughts that I was having, it just made for a recipe for disaster. Like I was not in a good place. And I'm still working on my mental health. I think that's something we all have to work on every day, but caffeine doesn't help. It doesn't make it easier. Now, if you're someone who's just drinking 1 cup of coffee a day, I don't know that this necessarily applies to you. I wasn't drinking 1 cup of coffee a day. I was drinking multiple cups of coffee, and sometimes very large cups of coffee. For me, it made everything worse, and it was honestly easier to just cut it out of my life and see what my baseline anxiety was. I think that was a big motivator for me. I wanted to see if all of this anxiety and depression that I was having was real so that I could address it, or how much of it was being caused by caffeine. And it turns out a good amount of it was being made worse by coffee. Okay, and this last one kind of wraps them all together, which is that I've really learned how to listen to my body and honor my body's tired cues. So before, if I was sleepy or if I was stressed or if I was sad, I would just go have coffee. Like it was such a rush to go get some coffee, and then you don't feel happier, but all of a sudden you get all of the adrenaline from drinking it that you kind of feel like you're high, you're up here, you're not down low. So I was using it as a crutch. But now when I feel tired, I know that I'm tired. I'm not just crashing from coffee. I know that maybe I didn't sleep well that night. I know that I need to take it easy, or I need to take a day off work, or maybe I'm burnt out. It gives me a chance to really reflect on why I feel tired and to look at my day and my week and figure out how to adjust it so that I can gain some of that energy back. So instead of just masking it and covering up my tiredness, I'm able to really face it head on and figure out what's wrong with my body, if maybe I'm not feeding it right or moving it correctly, and make those adjustments so that I get energy that's steady and that lasts. And I think that coffee is a great tool. Like if you need it for that extra boost because you're doing something where you need to be hyper focused or like hyper peppy or whatever for that day, it's a tool. Like use it. I think it's great that we have access to it. I think coffee can be really powerful in healthy doses on a healthy cadence. But for me, I was not using it that way. I was using it in an extremely unhealthy way. And I think if there was ever a day when I needed that like rush of energy and I didn't mind the crash later, I would totally reach for coffee. I still love the way it tastes. It still makes me happy, but I'm not using it to mask how my body is actually feeling. And that has been really enlightening because it's helped me to build other habits in my life that give me true energy. And it's also helped me identify places that I need to work on, like my sleep. So if you're going caffeine free or you want to switch to decaf on a regular basis, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to. And I am here for you. I am rooting you on because it's a big swap. It takes some time and it takes some patience. And my advice to you would be to just take it a day at a time, would be to wean yourself off if you have the time and patience to do that. Maybe if you're drinking 3 cups of coffee, go down to 1, replace the rest with water and just see how you feel. Another piece of advice I would give is to find other outlets for getting energy. I have found that long walks have really helped me, some different forms of exercise, eating better, figuring out what foods make me tired versus which ones make me feel really great, and sleeping. Like getting your sleep right is going to give you that energy boost that you really need. So if you're considering going caffeine free, do it. Do it. I believe in you. You can absolutely do it. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around and watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.